2. Being born again out of John 1. Now there's so many chapters in John. I mean, I wasn't even looking. John 1, John 3, John 4. That shows always pointing back to, the prophets in Acts 2. The first implementation of being born again. The water and spirit, right? So I'm just going to read a little bit here. I was kind of trying. I was feeling to go. I was going to be doing a video on Matthew 28, but because people are confused with baptism. But going through, I was making notes, and I think the Lord redirected me to do this, so I'm going to do this first and see where it goes. Okay, but John 1:13. John 1:11. Let's see. We'll start at John 1:7. The same came for a witness to bear witness of the light, that all men through him might believe. This is John Baptist. He was not that light, but was sent to bear witness of that light. That was the true light, which lighteth every man that cometh into the world. He's talking about Jesus being the light, okay? The Spirit, okay? And I haven't gone over it yet, but I'll save that for later. He was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not, okay? Looking at the face of Jesus when he was on the earth, and he's teaching and doing all these miracles, they didn't know who he was. Yeah, everybody knows he's the Son now. Even now, they don't know who he is. That's why they mess everything up. That's why they baptize it the wrong way. Nobody gets the Spirit. Almost nobody knows about it. The whole town I came from, nobody knew about this. Let's move on here. But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of God. That's John 1:12. What's the power? Okay, that's pointing back to the born again message. Okay, John 3, which is Acts 2. We've covered this many times, repetitively. Even to them that believe on his name. Okay, there's a lot of things to do with his name. It's baptism, yeah, for salvation, but convincing Jewish people, what that name represents as Messiah, Christ, that was a big deal back then. And it's not too easy to do, even now. Verse 1:13, which were born not of blood, nor of the will of flesh, but of the will of man, or nor of the will of man, but of God. Okay? So that's right. John 1:13 is John 3, which is Acts 2. Okay? Being born again of the water and spirit. I'll read it again. Which were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. Again, that's the new birth. John's deciphering that. He's telling you not the natural, not from the flesh, not from man, but of God. Okay? That's the key stuff you got to key into. And the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us. Okay? We know that's Jesus. Just going to skim through. That might be everything in John 1. These many... No, there's a bunch more. He said, I am the voice of John 1:23, of one crying in the wilderness, make straight the way of the Lord, as said the prophet Isaiah. Okay? So, John Baptist actually foreran Isaiah's prophecy. It was Isaiah, came from him. He sent a John, that God sent a John to forerun Christ, or the Lord, or God in the flesh. If you look at 1 John 3:16, right? Check all this stuff out. And verse 25, and they asked him and said unto him, why baptizest thou then? You see how John's implementing the baptism, getting people prepared for the John 3 message, prepared for Acts 2:38 pattern. Okay? If thou be not that Christ, nor Elias, neither that prophet. John answered and said, I baptize with water. But, okay, these things were done, there's verse 28. These things were done in Bethabara, beyond Jordan, where John was baptizing. Verse 31. And I knew him not, but he should be made manifest to Israel. Therefore I am come baptizing with water. Verse 32. And John bare record, saying, I saw the Spirit descend from heaven like a dove, and it abode on him. That was a manifestation of the invisible Spirit of God. Okay? Because God's not a bird. Okay? It was just so he could see it. Because God told him that I'm going to give you the sign when you see me, or when you see Christ walking, I'm going to give you that sign. Okay? And I knew him not, but he that sent me, who sent him? God, the Spirit. Right? He that sent me to baptize with water, the same said unto me, upon whom thou shalt see the Spirit descend and remain, the same is he which baptizes with the Holy Ghost. What's the Holy Ghost? The one that sent him. Okay? Everything's interchangeable. There's only one Spirit. Okay? Even the very first chapter, I know I'm getting off subject, but these things I'm talking about coincide and interact and intertwine. The very first book of the New Testament, Matthew 1:1, explains this perfectly. Okay? But we'll get into that later maybe. Upon whom thou shalt see the Spirit, same as he which baptizes with the Holy Ghost. And of course he was looking right at Jesus Christ. Okay? The manifestation of the invisible Spirit. Okay? Alright? Well, I think that's all for now as far as the born again stuff. Let's see what else is in here. And then they go on to say, Simon Peter and John, we found the Messiah, which is being interpreted to Christ. Okay? So intricately their eyes were opening, just like you or me. You know, there's a starting point. If God's calling you, if you're watching these videos, there's a major chance God's calling you. Okay? That's about it, folks, for John 1, being born again out of John 1. God bless you.